All right, I can't be more excited to have our next guest with us. If you've been listening to Golf Talk Canada over the last few months, going back earlier into the spring, you heard me complain about how I was feeling slow, feeling old, needed to do something about it. Started poking around online, spoke to my good friend Ian Fraser from TXG, who we do stuff with here in Toronto, and the stack system kept coming up in conversation. So I decided I was going to do something, see if I could get my speed back, see if I could get back to maybe some numbers that I haven't seen in a very long time, and do it in a way that hopefully didn't completely ruin my golf swing. So that's why I asked our current guest to join us right now, Dr. Sasha Mackenzie, who is with the Department of Human Kinetics, St. Francis Xavier, PhD in sports biomechanics, and the co-founder of the stack system. So, Doctor, first off, I want to thank you for inventing this, because I have had tremendous success, and it's really brought a lot of kind of joy back into the game for me this year, which I haven't had in a very long time. Before we get into my personal findings, the recent success on tour, most recently with the US Open champion, let's go back to the beginning. Before you describe to our audience what the system is, where did the idea come from? Where did you take, your background, your education, your knowledge, and come up with the idea of how I'm going to create this system and target this area, and people can learn to be faster?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Mark. I appreciate it. It probably comes from my track and field background. There's lots of experiences and information that kind of led to the development of the system, but primarily it was track and field. I was a track athlete at university. I coached track for a long time. And with track and field, most of the events is just about being faster. So you can't get lost in the weeds of lots of other statistics, finding fairways and short game and approach. It's, hey, you have to move faster. And there's been a lot of research done in track and field and how you can sprint faster. And one of those ways is through overload and overspeed training. So that would be overload would be running with some slight amount of resistance with just the appropriate amount of load, and then being towed by something. So something that's helping you with just the right amount. So you're running a certain percentage faster. It's very much fine tuned. So you can't just tow anything and get faster at sprinting. You can't just get pulled by anything and get faster at sprinting. There's specific loads that you need to use, and it's known to be very individualistic. So I was a multi-event athlete in track and field, 180 pounds, and ran the 100 meters in about 11 seconds. One of my training partners, 220 pounds, so 40 pounds heavier than me, also ran the 100 meters in 11 seconds. But the loads that we would use to do overload and overspeed sprint training were quite different. So in golf, the two things really, everybody tends to swing at about 90%. So you look at tour players or average golfers, you go out there, when you play around the golf, you're not swinging as hard as you can. So you never get a training effect. If you don't golf at all, if you've never golfed before and you go out and you play golf, then eventually you'll get faster because you're getting used to swinging at all. But if you took a track and field sprinter, 100-meter sprinter, and you had them sprint at 90% all the time, they're not going to go anywhere. You need to push that. So yeah, you need to swing maximally, but also you can get the added benefit of fine tuning these loads and to the individual. And I looked at the existing systems out there, and there were, hey, here are 3 weights, and everybody's going to use these 3 weights all the time. And that would be like, when I went through track and field, hey, here's one sled with this amount of weight on it. Everybody's going to tow that, or these 3 different weights. And no, we want to figure out the exact load for you. So that's kind of the origins of why I thought about developing a speed system for golf.
So, I find it so interesting because I've tried some of those other systems in the past. Did I get slightly faster immediately? Yes. Did I have huge improvements? No. At the same time, it threw off my sequencing. I really didn't like what it did to my golf swing. It didn't make me swing smarter. I want to get into a couple of those things with you. Before we do, this system, I found the stack system different immediately. People asked me to describe it to them. I said, well, it comes with, a stick with a grip that you can
Yep.
change the weights on to make heavier or lighter. There it is. Thank you for having. I should have had mine with me here as well. Mine's in my golf bag. And it runs you through a series of programs. And I describe it, and I'm describing it obviously in layman's terms. When I'm describing it to Bob and Adam on the show, I'm saying it through these series of exercises, it kind of learns where you're slow and where you can improve, and then designs a series of exercises that I did for, I think, a 45-day period off the top of my head. I think that was the number, in which it's targeting in those areas. And I got some incredible results, and I found out a bunch of amazing things. But am I describing that accurately? Because to me, it's not just what you showed us, it's the app and the software and the information and data being collected to target you as an individual that separates the system for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's correct. So my co-founder Marty Jertson, who's the VP of Innovation and Fitting at Ping, did an amazing job designing a hardware solution that compare with the app. But most of the magic really is in the app. So first thing, you described it pretty well. We do every golfer goes through a baseline test. The app guides you through, tells you what weights to add on, tells you how long to rest. You even swing your own driver in the baseline. And the purpose is we want to know, are you struggling with swinging things that are slightly heavier than your driver or things that are slightly lighter than your driver? So do you need more overload or more overspeed? And we also do single arm testing in the app. So maybe one of your arms is a limitation. And we also ask you some questions. Hey, does your driver feel really heavy? Is one question that we ask. And so we get that information along with your profile information, your age, your current handicap, how far you're currently hitting the ball. And all that information goes into a series of algorithms, and we provide a rank ordered list of programs. So the first program that pops up is the one that we feel, based on a lot of data and science, is going to give you the fastest gains and the biggest gains. So how quickly can you get speed and in the most efficient manner? You can choose the other programs; they're just not the most recommended. So then you'll pick that program, and each workout then becomes customized based on how you're currently performing. So after that first workout, it might be slightly different than your baseline. That's okay. We're going to use that information from the first workout as well as the baseline to then program your second workout. And the weights that you're swinging will constantly change throughout the program, depending on how you change. No different than if anybody's familiar with lifting weights, if your trainer wanted you doing a set of 6 incline bench press with 60-pound dumbbells and you did 8 of them, well, then your trainer or you should figure out, well, the next workout, I should probably lift more weight because I'm not going to progress. So we have those algorithms built in the app. It tells you when to work out. It tells you how long to rest between each swing, between each set. And, a big issue, one of the other things that we have along, side of all this great stuff to tell you exactly the best workout for you is it's very motivating because you have your personal bests get saved as you go along. So if you swing one swing that's the fastest ever with that weight, the app gives you a cheer. And if you have an average for the set that's faster, it gives you a cheer. So it's motivating to see, hey, I am actually improving, and it's telling you that. And you can see, these graphs are showing you, hey, here's how you're improving. We also have a great number called a grit score. It's how well you're adhering to the program. So, if you decide, oh, okay, I'm going to take, a lot of time between sets here, or I'm going to take time between workouts, your grit score drops. So that, that's also motivating to say, hey, look, okay, I'm going to stick to this program. And that information is really important for us because we're constantly with we've now got about 10,000 users. And so just like yourself, you're kind of a participant in a research study, even though you don't know it. So your program is going to be slightly different. You're with 300 golfers. It's going to be slightly different from a 300 other golfers, maybe in terms of the rest or the exact weight you're swinging. And then you do a pre-test and a post-test. Let's see how your speed improved at the end. We repeat the baseline after the program, and we can tell what's better. So hey, is 30 seconds of rest better than 25? Should you be swinging weights at 115% of your driver's speed or 112%? Things that you would take forever to do in a research environment like I'm in right now. Usually when you do a study at university, it's, hey, let's have a group of 20 golfers in this group, a group of 20 golfers in that group. We've got hundreds, and we're constantly running studies within the app. So the programs are changing. We're getting better and better. There's really no speed system in any sport that can claim that.
Well, I'm sold 100%. I just completed my first program. In fact, I started my second one. So for my first two programs, I want to throw some things at you and get you to comment to see, are these things normal, and are my reactions things that you've heard along the way? From my original baseline, I started from a very slow position. So I was wondering, are my gains abnormal? Because I started from such a spot where, I was not swinging well. I was fighting my swing. I had a bunch of different swing thoughts. So all these things were adding up to me being slower as well, because I just didn't have any confidence in anything I was doing. So I started off with a stack speed rating of 94,
Yeah.
a driver speed of 110, and a distance potential of 306. After my first program, I've gone from 94 to 99, from 110 to 115, and from 306 to 322. I put in the work. I followed the program to a T. I'm hitting the golf ball at my home club in places I haven't hit it in 15 years. I mean, I'm shocked. Playing with my buddies, they're like, you haven't hit it there since you're in your early 30s. I'm 47.
Yeah.
So I've seen this with my own eyes. I also felt like it got me on a good path because of that data that you were just telling us about, and those benchmarks, and congratulations, this is the fastest you've done it. I felt like I got on a better path with my swing. I found that certain motions or certain things I was doing in my swing weren't efficient, wasted energy. Why am I doing this? And it got me on a singular path with my golf swing, which was a wonderful finding as well. So I've just started my second program, which was the one that was suggested. We're only, I believe, 2 workouts in. I have seen at the moment to hit a bit of a ceiling. But the one thing I'm very curious about is something that I found out when I went through my second baseline testing, which is where I might go for my next workout, my third workout, in another 40 days from now, is I'm a right-handed person who's a left-handed golfer.
Yep.
Mike Weir, Phil Mickelson.
Me.
Okay, yourself, Jordan Spieth, left-handed person who swings the club right-handed. My lead arm is 20 miles an hour quicker in testing than my trail arm. I mean, I've got to think there is a world load of speed somewhere locked in this really weak trail arm that I'm not using. So basically, I knew I threw a lot at you there, but
Yeah.
Are those findings of what I spoke about, is this normal? Is this what people experience? And not just that, but about learning to be more efficient and finding where your weaknesses are.
Yeah. So happily, those results are pretty typical. Um, the way when I look at a golfer like yourself, Mark, 47, I'm 44, there's about a 20 mile per hour difference in you in a minimally trained state, or me, and a maximally trained state. And if you're at the minimally trained state, so let's say for you that would be 100 miles per hour with the driver, okay? Then for you that would mean that your maximally trained state would be about 120. Give or take, there's going to be a little bit of fluctuation for everybody. Now, if you trained optimally at your age, you might be able to in 5 years get up to that 120. Okay, now maybe you started higher than 100. Maybe for you it's 125, but there's about a 20 mile per hour gap there. What we're trying to do with the stack system is, as quickly as we can, take as much of that gap away. Let's get you up to that 120 as fast as we can. Now, in reality, there are a lot of things that have to happen in the body that take a long time to actually get to that 120. And eventually, if you're at 120, if you're at your peak, like a Kyle Berkshire is, that's all the guy does is train, and he's very close to 160 mile per hour club head speed. Once you get there, or if you're constantly in this minimally trained state, you're going to start slowing down after 30. Okay, but what's great for you and me is that we're not at our maximum. So you pick up the stack, and you gained about 5 or 6 miles per hour, right? So I would guess then, you might in this, over the whole first year, you might get up to 9 or 10. But then in the second year, if you train consistently, you might tick off another 3 or 4. And then in the third year, you might get 1 or 2. And then, but the way I'm now in like year 3 or 4 of my training. And to be honest, I'm not willing to train 12 months a year. I'm very happy. My ceiling's probably around 130. I'm very happy having a maximum speed of around 125 and playing in the 1-teens, and so I lose speed. Like, I don't train much this time of year, whether in Canada. I could try to keep my speed up, but I'd rather golf and do stuff with my family. And you know what? January, February, March, hey, I got some time to gain my speed back up. And so I'll be using the stack for the rest of my life, to try and get as close to that ceiling as I can, and maintain it there. But I'm not willing to sacrifice everything to make sure I get to 130. Some guys are, that's great. And we have the system to do that. So your results are pretty typical. And you want to refresh my mind about some of the...
In terms of just some of the learnings on wasted movements and learning to swing it more efficiently. By about 3 weeks into the program, I found a bunch of moves that I felt like were unnecessary. I used to go to the golf course like, what swing am I going to use today? And I quickly learned within 3 weeks what my more efficient move was, and I got in a lane and I stayed there. Yeah.
Okay, that's a great point. So I think when all we do, the average person, maybe they hit a few range balls, but the folks at my club, the guys that I play with, maybe hit some to warm up. But the average golfer's not out there practicing, so they do all their driving on the course. And a lot of driving ranges, you can't hit driver. That's a fact in Canada. So you're hitting 14 drivers max, kind of in a round of golf, and we don't like to lose golf balls. So over time, we constrain ourselves, right? And it becomes difficult to free your swing up on the course. And that's kind of what the stack allows you to do. There's no ball, so it allows you to learn those gross movement patterns that give you the highest speed. And then you can do some calibration. Maybe your face is a bit more closed or a bit more open, but it only takes a few swings to start to calibrate that. But that number on the radar that you see, it allows you to kind of explore those movement patterns that are going to make that go higher. So you're like, you know what, probably I don't need to, be limiting how much I'm, adding wrist cock in the backswing, right? I can kind of free that up. Boom, there's another 2-3 miles per hour. What if I allow my trail leg to, to kind of extend or straighten a little bit in the backswing? Maybe my lead heel comes off the ground. Maybe I try a loose grip. Holy smokes, if I just loosen my grip tension, there's a couple miles per hour. What happens if I make sure that I really feel like I'm pushing in the ground harder with my trail foot, almost like I'm really jumping with my lead foot on the way down? What if I work on a little squat move like Rory? So there's all these things that you can try, and you're like, hey, look, the number went up. Great. So a lot of people just organically figure out some movements that lead to higher club speed. Some people might even be aware of it.
It must be very gratifying. Recently, Matt Fitzpatrick thanking you in a U.S. Open press conference, the success you've seen at the highest level. People like me just reaching out to you 7-8 weeks ago saying, hey, can you help me? And now me sitting here saying, hey, if you put in the work, this works. It's on you to just put in the work, your grit score, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
How gratifying has this been for you?
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome, on a couple of levels. From a big passion of mine is science, running experiments, finding answers to things. So to be able to do science on a really large scale, high quality science, like you've done the workout, so I know the effort level you're putting in. I can see that in the app. I know what your rests were, all of that stuff. So I'm running really good science. We are with these programs. So to learn a lot about what are the best ways to generate speed. So that's very gratifying, for all the amateur golfers out there that are using it. But then, also maybe even to an extent on a different level of gratifying is to take players at the top level, the best of the best, like a Matt Fitzpatrick, and be the tipping point for him. So he was a world class player, by any measure, but wanted more. He wants to win, and he didn't have the distance to do that. Majors are it. That's what the best players in the world want. They want to win majors. And your odds of winning a major with a club head speed of 112 miles per hour are low. If you are coming in with 4 irons and your playing partners are coming in with wedges and 9 irons, that's tough. You're giving up a lot of strokes. So to be able to, have the stack system and my training programs and working with Matt and have him, I like to think of it as the tipping point because, yeah, maybe I, gave him a little bit better performance or help with that, but his coach, his trainer, his stats, all the work he's put in got him to be, a very elite golfer. It was just that he needed that little bit extra, to really push him over the edge, and speed was it, and just not just speed, but also, his driving ability overall is better, because of the stack training. He feels like he can control his golf ball more.
Well, 100% too. And to your point, what we push our limits to in training is not necessarily how we're going to swing that golf club on the golf course, but I'm bringing up my baseline along the way.
Yeah.
So now my fairway finder is all of a sudden 5 miles an hour quicker than my old fairway finder because my
Yeah.
home run ball's 5 miles an hour quicker, so to speak. So I'm a huge fan. Before we say goodbye, from a personal standpoint, or someone like me, or one of our viewers or one of our listeners decides to take this journey as I go along, any trap doors? Because, I kind of related it a little bit to weight loss and weight fluctuation or anything like that. You will hit plateaus and it's hard to stay disciplined to stay with it because all of a sudden the scale doesn't drop as fast as it was dropping in the first 15 pounds or 10 pounds because now you're into the real hard work. I saw this great jump in speed early, and now I feel like I've kind of plateaued a bit for a while. I'm going to keep going hard. Are there any trap doors like that, things to know about, ways to stay motivated that you'd like to pass along?
Yeah. So we have about, point about 0.1%, not quite 0.1% of our users that see less than, a 2 mile per hour gain. So that's a very small number. Most are higher than that. But and because they're so small, I can reach out to them directly if they haven't contacted me and said, "Hey, I haven't been gaining." The biggest thing is not swinging with the intents that we suggest in the app. So before every set, you'll know this. It shows you what weights to load on. There's a picture of the stack. Load these weights on. It tells you the intent to use. Could be a full intent, which is as hard as you would swing on a course. Max intent, which is, it's okay to lose balance. And most folks don't reach that max intent. So they'll send me videos. I'll try to get to the bottom of things. And every swing is perfectly in balance. And I'll say, hey, take a look at your swing and take a look at the way guys like Victor Hovland is swinging on the course. He's actually swinging with more effort on the course than you are swinging in training. That's not going to work. If you swing at 96 or 97%, you won't get the training effect. So that's the biggest thing, is that you have to swing hard. If you never lose balance ever, and you never feel at your risk of losing balance and you're not swinging hard enough, you're not going to get that stimulus. You're really cutting your training short. So that's the probably the the biggest trap door. And also you're getting frustrated with speed plateaus. So what we'll see big gains hopefully in the first program, which is 18 sessions. Maybe it's 6 miles an hour, maybe it's 10 miles per hour. But what you have to realize is that's not sustainable. Like, so if you look at someone like Fitzpatrick, who 2 years ago started at about 112, and at the RBC Canadian Open he averaged 119, which is a massive transformation. Any tour player would be like, "You're going to give me 7 miles per hour, sign me up."
Yes.
But that was over 2 years, and so you start doing some division, and you're like, "Hey, 7 miles per hour for 2 years, that's like half a mile per hour a month." So he could go a month and see nothing. Man, I put in, I did 12 workouts. Why hasn't the needle moved? There's stimuluses that are changing your system. They just haven't shown themselves yet in terms of speed, because maybe you're a bit fatigued, you're doing other things. But then the next month there's 2 miles per hour, right? Maybe the month after that's a mile per hour. And then you go 2 months with nothing. But if you stay committed, then you can slowly chip away. So people will say, "Hey, I've plateaued. I've gone 5 sessions in a row and I've gotten slower." Yeah, that's okay. What's great about the app is that it's kind of a double-edged sword, is that you have that speed feedback for every session, but it's not normal in sport to test yourself every workout. Do you know what I mean? It's
Right.
Track and field athletes are fine. They've got their target times and they know they're not going to run PBs every workout, and it's fine. It's kind of part of the culture. But I think with golfers, it's like you start to see those gains every workout and you think this will continue. Don't be too concerned if you go a long period of time without seeing speed increases. Think of a long-term goal. You're going to use the stack for the rest of your life. You're going to hopefully close that gap, get up to your maximum potential, over a couple of years, and hopefully not regress, right? So just kind of, as long as you get a workout in every 5 days, you can kind of keep your speed up. That's what I try to do over the summer. And then if you have some more, some down times throughout the year, try to fill in a full workout, like a full speed spectrum or a foundation program that you've done, and make a little bit of gain, and try not to slide backwards.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I mean, if you put in the work, I know this works. Nothing but benefits for anybody serious about getting faster, getting stronger, and just investing in their swing. He is Dr. Sasha Mackenzie, the co-founder of the Stack System. It is thestacksystem.com. Check it out. I highly recommend it. Doctor, I'd love to do this again with you down the road, circle
Great.
back, and let you know where I'm at, and just revisit all this if you've got time down the road.
Be happy to.
Thanks so much for your time.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.